I'll do it for free. I'll do the disparity study. I'll even ask 1,000 citizens here in the city. That's a pretty good survey.
And that always throws gasoline on the fire. People get it. Everybody, you got enough time and money.
Would you just look at it?
I'm sorry, I don't think it's probably good to get citizens in
No,
the chamber.
no, but I don't mind.
No.
I've been hit plenty in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our public forum in about 1 minute. If you take your seats, thank you.
With that button or the toggle? Okay.
That one full screen.
All right, all you got to do is toggle when you want to go to the next one.
Oh,
There's,
no, you're going to stand up here with me and do that.
I am, but
Okay.
look, all you got to do is toggle, and there's what you got
Oh,
to read.
cool. Oh, cool. You got my back. I know you do.
We need one more commissioner on the dais so we can start our public forum. All right, good morning. We're running a few minutes late. This is the Gary Sansing Public Forum. I don't have the script in front of me, but I'm just going to tell you from memory, this is an opportunity to speak to items that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak to something on the agenda, you have to wait until that item comes up in the regular meeting. We appreciate if you would address your comments to the chair and refrain from any disorderly outbursts or behavior which would interfere with the orderly conduct of this meeting. Thus far, we have 4 speakers today, and so we're going to start out with Mr. Daniel Nagolian. Good morning, and you're recognized.
Thank you for bringing me up first. I was expecting to be last, but that's fine. I want to speak on the proposed development that will go near the Wood Run housing area where we are. And what I'd like to do is basically give you a story. I did 26 years in the Air Force, and we retired here in Pensacola because of my daughter and some other reasons. We bought in a place where we were sure there would be nature around us.
Oh, that's mine.
Having been on 5 deployments and having a 90% VA disability, I was not anxious to be surrounded by a lot of people. And so we bought a nature trail. We bought on saltgrass. We bought on saltgrass because over the fence behind my house was a protected wetland that would, quote, never be built on, according to the realtor. That lasted about 6 months. Right now, behind my former house is a 4-story apartment complex. 3 buildings, shopping, etc., this, that, and the other thing. We moved. The first time they started to build, and I found myself on the ground crawling towards the house because I just freaked. We moved. and we found a little gem of a community called Wood Run. Wood Run is just off 9 Mile Road, not far from University. One would think that it would be in the midst of a city sort of area, but it is not. It is a beautiful wooded area, and if I look out my back door, I see woods. If I look to the left, I see woods. If I look to the right, I see my wonderful neighbors with their 6 adorable children. That's lovely. And then just beyond that is a creek. And then the houses start. And so I have found a place of peace and quiet. The community is lovely. The people are wonderful. I would absolutely hate to see that disrupted by more development. And I wonder when enough is enough. I understood to some extent what was happening in Nature Trail because of Navy Federal. Loved Navy Federal being here, that's great. But nothing like that do I see anyway, driving the need for more multifamily housing behind Wood Run. Whatever way you can do so, I would love to see this blocked. Now I understand there's water issues, there's a wellhead, there's this, there's that, there's everything. All those things, you know, I'm afraid can be overcome should the developer be inclined to try and do so. Let it be known that I, who represent the Housing Association Board here and now, would like to stand up and say, please, don't allow this. In whatever way you can, please don't allow this. And I thank you for the good work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, Kevin Wade. He's parking. Oh, he's parking. Okay, we'll put him on the bottom of the stack. Larry Downs Jr.
Hello, Larry Downs Jr., 12156 Havburg Drive, Pensacola, Florida. Hey, I just wanted to tell you real quick, I attended a city council meeting last week, and they wanted to spend $50,000 on a study to hire a consultant to look at the hiring practices of the city of Pensacola and the impact of these practices on women. Well, they were trying to figure out why there isn't as many sanitation workers, women sanitation workers. So, you know, I tried to explain to them that I could tell them why that is. You know, even men don't want to work in sanitation. They do it because they got it. But anyways, I just wanted to let y'all know that, you know, y'all have, not y'all, but everybody, every government agency has overstepped a little bit, kind of like with COVID. And even now, 60% of the college students are women. So, and they even said at the city council that, you know, their higher ups are women. So the more we do this, the more the government manipulates, the more these numbers are going to be. You can't tell people what to do for a living. There's an application, you go and apply. If you want to do the job, you do the job. But taking it back to COVID, you know, it's so weird. Isn't it weird that our government shut down private businesses? You know, forced people to wear face masks across the country. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that government paid employees to get a concoction put in their arm? Literally, across this whole country. Even Walmart employees right here locally got $500 to get this concoction, the magic potion. It's just weird. And if you don't think it's weird, then, you know, maybe there's a little hope. But it's, you know, isn't it weird that our local government shut down our beaches? You know, follow the science. Y'all did it right here. Y'all shut down our beaches. Outdoor activities follow the science, right? Isn't it weird that our governor signed an executive order back in March of 2020 to tell us to keep our boats 50 feet apart. No more than 10 people per boat and 6-foot social distancing. Isn't that weird? All of these things were follow the science. They had children masked up in schools all day long. Follow the science, right? Now they're saying, that wasn't needed. John Hopkins' study said that. Said that these shutdowns and the mask mandates were not needed. Follow the science.
Thank you, Larry. Next up, Chris Kerb, Flood Defenders.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Let's get real this morning. I've been talking about plan, protect, invest, and maintain. Today, I just want to talk about invest. Do a little municipal comparison of a funding source. Recent $403 million that municipalities got from the Resilient Flood Grant Program. Panhandle municipalities got $37.5 million with $28.6 in local match. Escambia County got $1.28 million for 4 projects with $1.58 match. City of Pensacola got $2.58 with a 50% match. Walton County got $14.9 for a $30 million regional stormwater construction. What this all boils down to is the Panhandle only got 9%, or a little over 9% of this funding that the governor awarded. Why? Why didn't we get more money in the Panhandle? Well, it's all about a plan and your investments. If you look and see how much these other entities invested, take a look at Miami-Dade or Broward County. They invested $160 million and $53 million respectively. If you plan and you invest, it's going to pay off. It takes money to make money. I'm a member of the Gateway Church of Christ. Jeremy Coons doing a series on blend, and it's basically about unification instead of division. We've got a lot of division in this country. Jeremy said reconciliation is not earned, it's worked for. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 11:17 through 34, I do not commend you because when you come together, it is not for the better, but for the worse. I hear that there are divisions among you, for there must be factions among you in order that those who are genuine among you may be recognized. What? Do you know you have houses to eat and drink in, or do you despise the church and humiliate those who have nothing? What shall I say to you? Shall I say commend you in this? No, I will not. I kind of ad-libbed on that, but basically the point is that y'all need to rise up. Y'all need to unify. You got a $417 million plan from 2015. It's now about $650 million.
Thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate you being here. Next
I
up.
emailed this to you because I know
Yep,
you
no,
don't
I've got
cut
it.
me short.
I got it. Thank you. Deanna Redleski. Thank you for being here. You're recognized.
Good morning, commissioners. Okay. I'm a firm believer, as you all know, of the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm waiting for the oil. As you all know, there's more properties that flooded and didn't report the flooding in Escambia County. Our group has not and will not solicit more support from outside properties north of us yet, but we are going to build our team to try to get resolution to the flooding. I asked the question at the last meeting about the HMGP buyout plan I made a statement about the $250,000 times 49 properties, $12.5 million. I asked if we could do the restoration on Biomarcus Creek Tributary B for less than that. What is the status on your commitment on the funding of the project with discretionary funds? You had made a statement, Mr. Bergosh, on September 16th that you would designate discretionary funds to get some kind of study started. Do what? Underhill? Okay. As I know, Underhill is our commissioner now because of redistricting. I don't know if you guys work together. Flooding doesn't have any
I
boundaries.
try, believe me, I try. It's very difficult to do.
Well, flooding doesn't see all of us. It doesn't care where it floods. It just
Amen.
floods. Anyway, the map shows, where are we? Okay. Working with the FDOT would be a good start, maybe off of the issues that are flooding from the Fairfield drainage ditch. The one pond that the county owns is full of sediment, so the water is not making its way to where it needs to be going. It's backing up on Tempest, the worst. Then it goes and runs along Tempest and then comes down our way. We are downhill from all of the Fairfield folks on Windrose. These are, you're looking at photos from the Windrose neighborhood flooding. This flooding did not start until June of 2012. Does it sound logical that the tributary needs some elevation and help? It's a common sense approach that we're asking to have the tributary restored and maintained.
Dee, you need to go ahead and wrap up.
Okay.
Because you're out of time.
This is just photos of south of Windrose. And this is Tempest flooding. And I'm going to say it one more time. Paradise should not flood.
No, amen. And just to let you know, the district lines did change, but I'm still working with staff on an issue that's in District 2 right now, and I'm going to continue to work whatever we can do. We are going to work together. My comments before were somewhat facetious. We do work together because we understand the citizens. We serve all the citizens. So it's a difficult problem, but we're looking into all these issues, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Very good. All right. Melissa Pino, you're up.
Thank you, Chairman Bergosh. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. They need that project so badly, Commissioner Bergosh, Chairman Bergosh. So I'm glad to hear you bring it up because, as you know from the beginning, I've been hammering on the fact that the Lake Charlene project doesn't do squat without this project. This is the project that needed to be done, and it might have alleviated the flooding in Lake Charlene as well, which the current project will not. That's already been stated. I am so sorry that these folks drew the short straw on the redistricting, but I would tell them to take heart because, as I said in a city council meeting last week, although we're suffering from an absence of commissioner problem in District 2, it turns out that's a lot better than the presence of a commissioner problem. So as long as the board will keep doing things like what you did to help us out with the Beach Haven drainage, I want to thank Mr. Marino, who on Super Bowl Sunday, and with Carla having been in an accident, responded immediately to some citizens getting in touch with him about a bad situation over in Beach Haven that came from some pipes not being done. It seems like Kevin and I went over and walked it on Sunday, and it does not look good. I am not a person to put in a complaint on every pothole, but that really needed the county's attention. They know the county was there and they were really grateful for it in that neighborhood, so thank you. Just a little time I have left, I want to address quickly homelessness, FPL, and NOPE. The three things that I primarily want to get out here at this meeting. And the homeless and the FPL problem kind of fall under the NOPE acronym, which is not our problem, everyone. Even the residents and the citizens and the constituents that really support you guys, and there are many of them that don't read the crap in the P&J or the stuff online, are feeling an absence of commissioner problem. on things like the homelessness, on things like FPL. Chairman Burgash, thank you for the blog post, because we do need all of the information we can get, but the problem is so far beyond that. Now, I'm going to address the FPL stuff with an FPL contract item later in the agenda. On homelessness, appreciate so much Commissioner May bringing that to the foreground in the last meeting, and then you bookending it, because we got a real boondoggle going on over in the city. I'm going to be forwarding the war I'm at for public records on the monies, the taxpayer monies on Grover's boondoggle of an eviction. Guess what? Newsflash, those folks are all back up on the tracks. They're in Beggs Lane in Commissioner May's district, and they're crammed into hotel rooms whose tickets are about ready to expire. The rest of them are all on the streets.
Thank you very much.
Please
Melissa.
meet with council and get a
Okay.
good situation going. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, Kevin Wade.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Poplitz. Galvez Landing is one of those projects out in Perdido that Mel and I stumbled into a couple of years back, it seems. It seems like we've been going to MAC meetings for probably 20 years now over that project. And we ended up, again, getting phones lit up with residents there saying they're cutting the trees down. I know, 4-letter word in the meetings. Tree, promise I won't use it the third time. Don't need to invoke all that. But there's people saying we've got video, we've got pictures. We said no. I was told there were 11 trees that were cut. Sorry, it was plural. So we had been told that these weren't going to be cut, or every measure honestly would be taken to maintain them at Galvez Landing. There were plenty that got taken down for the park next door. Residents are running around with pitchforks again, and we don't need that. We don't need it. It seemed like we were being just stonewalled at the Marine Advisory Council meetings, as well as residents, because it seemed like what was being said fell on deaf ears. COVID's still with us. There's still 3,000 plus Americans dying every day. I know we have people that will come to the podium and say, it's gone, da-da-da, da-da-da, the magic elixir. Might as well, for some of those folks, roll back. Stop using the zippers, maybe even go back, stop using buttons. We'll go ahead and roll back to science. I'm not saying, I'm just saying this, that I'm not accusing you of any of this. But I fully vaxxed, support it, absolutely. And that I did bring pictures of the murder that we believe that the empty chair perpetrated in Navy Point, and there's still that dead tree at the boat landing in Navy Point.
Thank you,
And
Kevin.
that was 3 years ago.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. And just for everyone's knowledge on the Galvez Landing, I was called last night about the trees, and I've asked staff to look into it, because that wasn't supposed to be part of the plan. It was supposed to be repaving it, making the parking spots bigger to accommodate bigger trucks. So if they were cut down, we'll find out why, and we'll replant. We can't uncut them down if they were cut down by accident, but we can replant. So that's what we'll do. Anyway, there's that. Final speaker today, Rita Mackey. Rita Mackey.
Good morning.
Hi.
My name is Rita Mackey, and I'm here on behalf of my mother and my family's property. expanding on the Bayou Marcus Tributary B project. So my mother lives at the end of Tampico Boulevard, which is in Perdido Park. You enter it off of Highway 98. She has 30 acres in the back, which backs El Matador and Perdido Park. Years ago, my father gave the county an easement to be able to enter their property to maintain a drainage ditch that was already there to help alleviate the flooding in Perdido Park. It helped, but it didn't really do the job. Well, back in 2009, they came and expanded on the project. Of course, with all the new development that's going around over there, we watched the water being directed and coming back to her. Supposed to go into the drainage ditch and go out under Blue Angel Parkway to the bay. Well, that's not happening. So again, with everything being blocked up, essentially she's becoming your own drainage pond. She's got mold in the house, the yard is a mushy mess, and she is just completely surrounded by water. It has nowhere to go. It's coming back to her, it's not going out, it's not going back toward Lillian. She's south of Lillian, north of 98, right in that 30 acre. So, that project is desperately needed. I'm hoping that it will dry her out enough where she can maybe get the mold out of her house, because again, she's essentially a drainage pond for the whole entire area with all the new development going on around there. Not to mention all the other homes north of her that are being flooded as well. So, thank you, please consider it, please help her out. She's drowning back there by herself, and she gave the county this easement to maintain this ditch, so something needs to be done. Don't know what, but I think that's it. Just thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Rita. That's our final speaker. We will go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and then we will convene our regular meeting in 5 minutes, about approximately 5 minutes after 9.
Perdido Park and El Dorado drain on us. The problem is that it's going north off of 90, all the development is coming down El Dorado and Perdido Park. It comes back there and there's a drainage. You got the subdivision of Perdido Park, and you got our 30 acres. It hits the drainage. Part of it goes out underneath Blue Angel Parkway to Perdido Bay. The other part circumvents our property and goes back to the back. And that's where it stops, because all that water is running off the city. And it comes there and it resides back in El Dorado, Perdido Park, and our place. And it does not really under Legion Highway. That's the way it's supposed to get out. It's under Legion Highway between Blue Angel and Fairfield. It's a little bitty piece of food. Now, that's in the reason why there's a beaver dam. Beaver? Yeah, I mean, it's state property.
Oh, just kidding.
Just a phone number. I want to make sure she knows we're looking at this. Either way, it's fine. I'll make sure this is I'm an engineer. I'm a county engineer. I work with construction management. I used to work with Terry B. It's usually like an polish.
We can alleviate a
My name's
lot
Robert
of,
McGrath, and I work in engineering.
we can alleviate a lot of water. Get it drained from the 98. The highway, not 98, Live highway. Yeah, because that's where it's bottleneck. So all that water coming in off of 98 only goes up. And it's supposed to flow north under 84. But when you get all that water in there, it's going to everywhere. The ground's so saturated, the ground's
Problem we're having. We're dealing with beaver dams left and right. So, if it's state property at all, what I've been doing is have to leave there. That way, all road road, let all drains.
No, I know him. I talked to him and I couldn't think of it. I was gonna flip it back.
And a lot of that, with the old power easement, also private water. Beaver dams, stuff like that, that's something that we could afford to do, but I had it. Somebody else.
I know.
We can point out where they are, and I can find out what property it is. Things that are blocked up. Oh, yeah, true. I can definitely confuse you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start in about 1 minute. If you could take your seats, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right, guys. Good morning. This is the Escambia Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, February 17th, 2022. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions by the board. This morning, Commissioner Berry will be bringing our invocation. Commissioner Berry, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From Trinity Lutheran Church, I'd like to welcome Pastor Jack Onka, please.
Let us pray. Our dear, loving, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we're thankful for this day you've given us and the opportunity you've given each of us to gather together at this place at this time. And Lord, we're also grateful for all the blessings you give us, those blessings we know about and those we don't. In particular, Lord, we're thankful for the blessing of our current government. Lord, we ask you to bless all these people who have dedicated themselves to the governance of this community, of this county. Lord, bless them, guide them, and lead them so that they might use the abilities that you have blessed them with in a great way in the governance of this county. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Lumen May.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Jack. Appreciate you coming down with us this morning.
All right, are there any items to be added to the agenda? Madam Attorney?
No, sir. They're all in there.
Commissioner Bender?
No.
Commissioner Berry? Commissioner May? Myself, none?
Nope.
Wes? Okay, very
Move
good.
the agenda.
All right. Motion second on the agenda, please vote. Boom. There we go. He's not here, so. All right, agenda passes 3-0 with Commissioner Underhill and Commissioner May off the dais. And Commissioner Underhill has sent word that he will not be able to make it today due to a conflict in his schedule. So Commissioner Underhill will not be here today. Commissioner May is here, though, however, and we're very thankful. All right, next up, Commissioners Forum. Commissioner Bender, you're up.
That's all good. Good.
All right, Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to mention thoughts and prayers going out to my predecessor, who was county commissioner for 8 years in District 5, Kevin White. His mother passed on Tuesday evening. His father passed 4 or 5 years back. So, he's now lost both parents, and, just thoughts and prayers out to he and his family, his daughters, grandchildren, and tough week, I'm sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do want to add to what my friend Commissioner Berry has said about former Commissioner Kevin White. His mom and he both live in District 3 and have been good supporters of mine. My signs are in his yard, and I do appreciate him. And throughout my career, Don and Kevin, before I was elected, were always open to assist. And my prayers are with Commissioner White, and Don, please convey that to him when you talk with him. This Saturday, I had the opportunity to speak at what I call a civil rights and community icon, Alvin Wingate's homegoing ceremony. Many of us who live in Perdido understand Wingate Beach, a beach that was the only place that African Americans could go when my mother and father were growing up, and that in Johnson Beach. And Alvin Wingate served on the planning board for years. The half-cent sales tax, I served with him for about 10 years, and it was great to see a lot of our friends, the Boyd family there, Commissioner Berry, and just a lot of historical significance in Zion Hope Primitive Baptist Church on this past Saturday. And also want to congratulate Pine Forest girls on a victory as they advance in regionals, and safe travels to Washington High School basketball team as they travel to Jacksonville to play at 7:37 or 7:30 tonight. So we say good luck to the Wildcats. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner, may I certainly reiterate kind words about Alvin Wingate. We served together 5 years on the planning board. I'm not sure that Alvin missed a meeting. You know, he took his public service very seriously. You know, he treated it as as giving back to his community, and he was always well prepared and like I said, in perfect attendance. And that's on some level on volunteer boards, it's hard to get sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Berry. And Alvin was a living legend, and when we talk about Black History Month and the contributions of African Americans across the country and this state and this county, I was honored to be there with Alvin, who I consider certainly an icon. But on Tuesday, Commissioners, I was very honored to be present at Rosa Parks Terminal to be a part of the celebration for Willie Carter. 48 years of driving and taking people across this county, and the testimonial of people who said I was able to go to Pensacola Junior College or UWF, or I was able to get to work in my first job because I rode the bus, and Willie was a mentor, a counselor. But I think 48 years without an accident, and to be the first African-American driver and the longest lasting driver, what a testimony for Willie. And I don't see Willie or any of the ECAT people here, but certainly all those who were there, we certainly appreciate it, and we applaud and commend Willie Carter for all his years of service of giving this county 48 years.
Well, and he officially has one more bus wrap than you do.
Yeah, when I saw his picture, I was wondering how could I get my picture wrapped on that bus. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner May, and obviously, my thoughts and prayers are with the White and the Wingate family. And Mr. Carter, congratulations to him for all his service to ECAT.
Absolutely, great guy.
And Commissioner May, thank you very much for being there to represent the county and on his day of being honored. I just appreciate you being there. Yeah, absolutely. All right, for my part, I want to once again thank the staff. The staff comes through in this county all the time, and and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but first I'll thank the community and media relations, David Hero, Davis Wood, Andy, the whole team. They get up early. They work with me on my coffees. They show up late in the evening for my town halls. They do a great job getting the news out, telling the story. They do a much better job than the media does, and they tell the truth, which is very important. So I want a shout out to them. They do a great job. They do a great job for this county. It's a new team, kind of newly formed, but they're really knocking it out of the park. I also want to thank Rob Hogan. We had a very intricate issue that we kind of worked through, and he took time to speak with me and go through things piece by piece. That's the paper that's sitting in front of you, my peers up here on the board, because we're going to go through this later in the agenda, but he took the time to speak with me and go through it piece by piece. I also want to thank all the staff for taking their time to attend the town halls. We had a very, very well-attended town hall on the 31st down in Perdido in Ararity, and staff was there, and they really came through in a big way. We've got one coming up Tuesday evening in Beulah, and I just cannot thank you enough. It's so great to have the team there because, I'm just one guy. I don't have all the answers, but with the entire staff there with me, I'm confident that we can get all the answers to all the questions from all the citizens, just as we did in Perdido. We'll do it in Beulah. And for those answers we can't give you on the spot, staff will take it for action. So thanks to the staff hanging with us through the last 2 years of the pandemic, all the issues, the challenges, the wage push. And Wes Marino, you've done a great job. And I really appreciate your leadership up here and appreciate your leadership in working with the employees to close all those bargaining contracts. I mean, now you're working hard to help the corrections again. I appreciate that. You do a great job on the radio every week. Just appreciate your leadership. Thank you. That's all I got. And with that, Wes, remarks from you?
As always, I want to thank our great staff. I'll tag on to that. And also congratulations to Willie Carter. I'll tag on to that as well. What a great gentleman there. And then condolences to the Wingate family and to Kevin White's family. I would say Kevin was probably one of the first commissioners that I really got to know a little more closely. And I think back to Fairgrounds Road, and Donna remember this. And I know Kevin, he fought hard and worked hard to get that road across the finish line as far as paving, and we were able to do that, and he was always a great supporter to me, a great support and a great friend, so I just want to wish condolences to his family.
Thank you very much, Wes.
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
can I just tag to David and PIO? They did a great interview and segment on Willie Cotter for Black History Month.
did. I
Yeah,
saw that.
And I just want to thank PIO for that leadership and the whole team out at PIO. They did a great job.
Thank you for that. I know it means a lot to him. Commissioner Berry, you had a light on?
I move the proclamations.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second on the proclamations. Please vote.
Commissioner May, I'm sorry, I don't have you currently logged in. If you want to let me know your vote, I think we're going to work on it to get it fixed. Okay.
All right, so that passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais. Okay, so we've got one of those that we just passed that we've ratified. The second one we're going to present, I'm assuming, Cheryl Watson. Is Cheryl Watson, who's someone here to present that today? No, okay, so this will be presented at a later date. Okay, next up, ladies and gentlemen, did the clerk's office receive the proofs of publication for the public hearings on the agenda and the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move to waive the reading.
Motion is second to move the waive the reading. Please vote. All right, that passes unanimously with Commissioner Underhill off the dais. Next up, Clerk and Comptroller's report. Pam
Thank
Childers,
you.
you're recognized.
Thank you. We have one routine item regarding minutes and reports for the February 10th meeting. That is it, Chairman. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Move the clerk's report.
Motion second on the clerk's report. Please vote. And that passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not in attendance. Okay, next up, Growth Management Report. Horace Jones, you're
Yes,
recognized.
sir. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Board members. For today, we have the recommendation concerning Iron Rock subdivision for review and final plat approval.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have any speakers.
Do we have any speakers on this item? We have no
All right,
speakers.
move the item A and B.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Okay, that item passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not in attendance at the meeting. Next up, that's it? Nothing? Okay, that's the shortest report we've got from you in a long time, man. Thank you.
Notice how he
Horace.
saved that for when you.
Thank you.
He saved that for when you were chairman.
All right.
The only way to keep your job, Horace.
Yeah. Good job. All right, Wes, you're recognized.
All right, there are 5
I hope
items.
Neil didn't intimidate you.
There are 5 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Please make the following change. Drop CAR 1-3, the recommendation concerning a certificate of public convenience and necessity for the provision of advanced life support in Escambia County.
All right, so we have 4 items left. Gentlemen, my peers, any of those that you would require me to pull or hold? Other than that, I would entertain a motion on the balance.
Move the balance.
Motion second on the balance, please vote. All right, the balance passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not here. All right, next up, Wes, CAR 2.
Mr. Chairman, there are 33 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please make the following changes. Drop CAR 2-13 and CAR 2-22. These are recommendations regarding our Blue Arbor contract.
Okay.
And then hold CAR 2-2, CAR 2-4, and CAR 2-18 for speakers.
Any other items that my counterparts would like to pull or hold?
No, sir, move the balance.
All right, we have a motion to move the balance. Motion and a second to move the balance. Please vote. All right, the balance.
Jeff, I'm good. And Mike and Wes, these renewals on this county cutting is just for 1 year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, the balance passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not present. Okay, Wes, what's the first item left?
Car 2-2.
2-2. All right. And we have a speaker on that? Hang on, let me get to it.
Thank you, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. I want to make clear that, but Commissioner May, what my speaking today has nothing to do with my knowledge of this particular project. I saw it on the agenda. I wasn't going to speak to it. And then last night, another city tree cutting disaster hit social media, and I got the typical lecture from Grover that I don't have any idea how city business worked, because I tagged him and I asked him to please do everything he could to save the trees that are now slated to come down on a city CRA project, a beautification project, no less. So now we got to cut down trees for no reason at Galvez Landing when we were promised that they were going to be kept to dozens of people on public record. We have to cut down trees in order to make room for parks. Now we're cutting down trees for beautification purposes. And again, Commissioner May, this is not speaking to this project in particular. So I had a back and forth with Grover on social media last night, and he told me that it's not him, and I don't understand the way CRAs work. Well, here's something that people in the county really need to understand. This is just a ballpark. Between 1/2 and 2/3 of every city CRA project, the bill gets footed by Escambia County taxpayers. I had no idea of this. A lot of people don't know this. So yeah, those projects are our business. And Commissioner May, I just wanted to say to you and Clara, who I know have probably worked really hard on this project, can we please not have any more accidental or beautification or...
Jeff, can you hold our time for a second, please?
Thank you.
There are no cutting of trees in this.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm asking, because of what is happening over in the city, I'm asking Commissioner May, you and Clara to be very vigilant about cuttings of trees in any of the ROW, not just this project. And let me say loudly, no cutting of trees planned for this project, except when it then happens accidentally and everybody's like, well, how did this happen? How did the trees get cut down at Galvez Landing? Please be vigilant, because we got road crews out there running amok again. And without the oversight of the people who care about this, these people who come on development, are they mad about the development? Are they mad about people getting houses? No. What are they angry about? They're angry about the trees. If this board would stop allowing clear cutting, do a little bit about the density, you'd solve your problem right there. So that was an ask, Commissioner May. That certainly was not any criticism of the way this project is going to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
And Claire, make sure that we're not cutting any trees in your staff, because I'd be disappointed as mayor if a tree gets cut and we find out afterwards.
All right, next speaker on this topic, Larry Downs Jr. You're recognized.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I'm in agreement with Melissa on this one. The trees shouldn't be accidentally cut down ever. Intentionally, yes, but accidentally, there's got to be some better oversight on anything that deals with, especially public property. An accidental tree cutting is, that's unheard of. In rational, reasonable minds, a tree's not something you can be like, oh, well, put it back up.
Exactly.
So, anyways, I'm in agreement. Make sure that nothing comes down accidentally. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Downs. Okay, that's our last speaker. Chair would entertain a motion on item 2-2.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Cart 22 passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not here at the meeting.
Commissioner Burgash.
Yes.
I apologize. I had wanted to add $1,000 to your item 28 for Men Who Cook.
Oh, okay. Let's see, how can, Delana, can we just need a motion to reconsider that item?
I'll leave that to the county
Yeah,
attorney, but
no,
I
no, we
can
got it.
also add a note into the for information section of the minutes that was verbally added. So I'll leave the actual process though to County Attorney Rogers.
Does that work for you, Allison, if we just do that?
Make a motion. Does he need to make a motion?
No, we don't need to.
Okay.
Are you saying we don't need to, or we do?
I would do a motion to make it clear
Okay.
for purposes of tracking that.
So we need a motion to
I would do
reconsider.
like as a separate
So
add-on.
my motion
you're
was to add
adding.
$1,000 to item 28 for the Pay Center for Girls.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Please vote.
Jeff, are you cooking this year?
I had planned to, but I think I'll be out of the city. That's the week of my birthday, so I gotta call them and, uh-oh, what are we waiting on?
Well, she's got to type it up.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, she's a fast typist. But I am very supportive of that event. Are you cooking this year?
I'm looking to defend my title.
Did you win last year?
Well, I won the desserts.
I won desserts in 2017.
Yep.
I got the trophy to prove it.
Yep.
It was delicious. That passes.
I thought we were going to get away without a fight because
No, there's not gonna be
your
a-
other counterpart
hey,
wasn't
if that's the
here,
kind of
so
fight we're having, I like it.
hope y'all fight
Who
over
had the better dessert?
Who had the better dessert?
It's
Wow.
the county commission throwdown, you know, Jeff and Robert.
And that passes 4-0. And Robert, in all seriousness, thank you. That's a very worthwhile organization. They do great work for the young ladies in our school district and our community. So, just appreciate that. And thank you very much. Okay, so our next item up is CAR 24.
This is recommendation concerning Florida Power and Light contract.
Okay, and we have two speakers. Melissa Pino, you're recognized.
Thank you. So Larry heard that I was signed on for a couple of items and decided to piggyback on my items, but don't worry, there's only like one more after this. And Larry, thank you for your unexpected support on the last one. This really does pertain. Yeah, I'm going to go off on FPL, but this is a contract issue with a faithless company. And I'm not sure because a lot of the fracas has been happening over in the city. I know you guys are getting tons of emails about this, but let me boil it down to you in a nutshell who it is you're dealing with here. Because it's not just a matter of DeSantis being in bed with them and, you know, telling his Public Service Commission to pass this through so that all of us bear the brunt of these price hikes that they had to have so they could own the monopoly. Like, we gotta pay him to own the monopoly, right? Broxson running around telling people, as usual, that he can't do anything about it because we just have to put up with his ineffectiveness. The city is bearing the burden of this, but what is coming out is that it's not just a matter of the price hikes. It's not just a matter that they buried the fact that if
Melissa,
we use more...
Melissa, I'm just going to interrupt
What
you
does
for a
this have
minute.
to do with the contract?
Well, this contract is for turtle-friendly lights at
Oh,
Fort
I
Pickens.
know, because FPL wants to save the wildlife.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, you know, I understand your feelings about FPL, but if you could please, this is the item that we're talking about. It's a contract.
Yes, I will. I'll try to keep it to the county just entering into business as usual with FPL. And I know that we're stuck doing that. They're a monopoly, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that everybody needs to have eyes on their contracts because these people are running away with everything. I look at these prices on this contract and I'm like, wow. And some of the other contracts that they've been putting through too, it's not like we've got a lot of negotiating power with a monopoly, and they're going to be running around giving away, you know, scholarships in needy neighborhoods where they're shutting people's electrical down and their kids are getting taken away because they can't keep their heat on. So please, county, at least if nothing more than for the optics, really be rigorous. I know Chips drives a hard bargain, and maybe now that he and his family member are off that Urso company that's in conflict of interest, we'll get a little more hard bargains drawn on some of these environmentals. Keep eyes on this company, or they're going to rob the county all the way to the bank because they're doing it every way they can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Larry Downs Jr., you're recognized.
Hello.
Hello.
You know, I'm concerned with anything with FPL, you know, Florida Power and Lighting. You know, anytime you deal with government-sanctioned monopolies, there's money that goes everywhere. You know, it's no different than the FDA being funded by the pharmaceutical companies. BlackRock owns a company that owns FPL. You know, well, BlackRock owns a company that owns a lot of stock in the pharmaceutical companies, the vaccine makers. And I'm bringing this all the way around back to the how many people are, you know, who turn a blind eye to different contracts. You know, I'm sure y'all seen that email I sent you last night on the FDA executive officer.
I saw it on Tucker Carlson first.
Okay. Well, I watched it on YouTube first. So anyways, because that's where it was released first. But anyhow, these contracts with these, you know, with these big conglomerates, I mean, one, I don't even know, you know, what negotiating power y'all are going to have. You know, I mean, obviously our whole country's having a negotiating problem with all this free stuff, you know, because of the money that goes around. And, you know, really, I'm with Melissa on this one too. Really look into these contracts. It's just amazing that everybody just continues to do business as usual. Meanwhile, you know, these companies have, the only reason why they're authorized is because of government. It's the only reason why they're authorized to have these monopolies. And like Melissa, I'm sure they really care about the turtle. You know, I mean, come on. There's something in there. All right. Adios.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. No further speakers on that item. The chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second on item 4. Please vote. All right, that item passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not present. All right, next up, item 18, Wes.
Yep. Concerning the inspection and work going on the beach water ball.
Okay, and we have,
beach ball tower.
and we do have a speaker on that, David Bear. Good morning.
What was that?
No, come on now. Robert, I can't believe you. Come on. He said, do you guys go to the same barber? So that's, I thought that was kind of a low blow.
Well,
It was, well, it was witty. You're recognized, David.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. David Bear, 6120 Enterprise Drive, Pensacola, Florida, 32505. I'm also here as the chairman of the Tourist Development Council. So thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to talk to you today. I've made a few notes because I want to make sure that I'm covering what I want to say. So in the background of today's agenda item, it states that the board approved moving forward with projects on Pensacola Beach that were approved by the TDC at our July 15th budget workshop meeting, and the Pensacola Beach Ball Water Tower was an approved project. I went to the December 2nd meeting agenda and noticed there were a total of 5 projects presented to the BOCC as approved by the TDC and at our July workshop. I watched the portion of the video from the meeting and listened to Commissioner Bender report these projects were approved by the TDC at the budget workshop. During the TDC's July budget workshop meeting, we approved a proposed budget that included a line item for BOCC projects for roughly $845,000. During that meeting, Commissioner Bender mentioned a few projects he wanted to get done, but we never discussed any of them in any detail, much less approve them. Today's agenda item, repainting the beach ball water tower, is being proposed as a sign rather than a public facility. Under the statute, that is an authorized use and may be fully funded using TDT. However, the other items presented by Commissioner Bender as approved by the TDC could not have been approved by the TDC. In order for the TDC to approve funding any spending of the TDT on a public facility, there must be an independent professional analysis performed to demonstrate the positive impact of the infrastructure project on tourist-related businesses in the county. The TDC has never been presented such an analysis. This misrepresentation by Commissioner Bender is an example of why the TDC has asked the state of Florida Auditor General to audit the TDT program. The TDC and other tourism industry members have been working hard to create a long-term plan for developing tourism in the county, and this kind of action undermines the progress we are making. I'm requesting that this commission please consider the coordinated efforts and plans that the TDC and other tourism industry members are making and not circumvent the process as outlined in the statute.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. I appreciate you being here. Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
I wish you would have called me. I didn't realize we had these issues. As the things that when that line item was put in those, I was showing what the intended use was for. And in talking with our attorney, we do feel that we do not have to have that done. I think, Allison, you've talked to some members of the board about that?
I certainly will defer to the board's idea about how it wants to proceed with this, but my understanding with regards to the water tower is that that is a non-functioning water tower. The ECUA cylindrical water towers are used for actual water purposes on the beach. And this is, to me, if the board wants to proceed with this with the idea that it's sense of place, branding, promotional, similar to either a billboard or a wrap on a bus. You're not buying the bus, you're not fixing the engine, you're promoting.
Yeah, but I think that's
and I agree.
And I said because yes, ma'am. Thank you. I apologize for interrupting, but I was in support of that. I agree.
David, you're recognized.
Thank you. I thank you, Chairman. I agree. I think the beach ball, although I think it's kind of a stretch, it may be considered a sign and therefore doesn't need the study and may be fully funded using TDT. These other items, replacing the roofs on the pavilions and remodeling the bathrooms, those are public facilities and those must be used, must have a study that has been an analysis done to show the improve or whatever the language of the benefit, and may not be funded with more than 70% using TDT.
Okay.
And also, not only 70%, but that 30% has to be identified and confirmed that is the source that will fund the rest of the project.
Commissioner Bender, is that your understanding? What you just said?
It is not. So, but anyway, it's not on this agenda for today. So,
yeah.
Dave, I'll be happy to talk about it with you and make sure that we check all the boxes. And like I said, I mean, I've been very open in my intent on what the dollars that the TDT was allocating for the beach projects and what they were being going towards. So I know you and I couldn't talk until a month ago. But I'd be happy to sit down and talk and see where we're crisscrossed.
Okay. Well, I know where we're crisscrossed. That $845,000 was special projects for the BOCC. TDC never mentioned that they were exclusively for beach projects. They've been presented as beach projects, and they were presented at the December BOCC meeting as being approved by the TDC. The TDC did not approve any of those items. They may have come up as, option ideas that you wanted to work on, projects you wanted to work on.
Sure.
But the TDC did not state or analyze or even evaluate and approve any of those projects. Today's agenda references that December meeting when this item was one of 5, and that's why I brought it up today. The rest of them are not on the agenda, but as attached to this agenda is the December 2nd information. So I wanted to make sure that it was clear and not misrepresented. The TDC did not make any type of recommendation or approval of those items.
Okay, and if I indicate as such in any meeting, I apologize that yes, I mean, the board did approve the allocation of the funds, but did not specifically approve the projects. I think and part of the discussion would be how we have stated a number of times and had long discussions about this board approving funds without the TDC's knowledge of it. So if anything, I was trying to inform the TDC of what my intent to use those funds were so that we could go ahead and use them.
Well, thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, Commissioner Baker, you good? We're going to bring, so those other projects we'll bring separately?
They're bringing separately.
Okay, all right. Mr. Bear, you
Thank
good?
you.
All right.
Anything else?
Nope.
I move the item then.
Second.
Motion and second on the item? Please vote.
And congratulations on the sign. I think we took that action last week or 2 weeks ago or something, but it seems like it's happening.
Yeah,
All right.
starting to move on.
It passes 4-0 with
That was a
no
nice
not
sign.
here.
Claire, I want you to get the signs fixed in the CRA. I wrote the Brown, it looked horrible. Budget's unlimited, get the sign fixed.
All right, gentlemen, we are now up to item
Car 3.
Car 3, discussion items.
We have Car 3-1, the recommendation concerning the Hurricane Sally application for disaster assistance, local share. And I know this is an initiative brought forward by Commissioner Bender, and I'll let him kind of go through it.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so something I worked on when I was in Tallahassee, met with the Governor's Chief of Staff, FDEM, and others. But there is a process we can go through to try to get some help for our costs, our 12.5% share costs from Hurricane Sally. Bay County received some of theirs from Hurricane Michael, and so I thought it was worth a try. So recognizing Liz Kissel for all the work that she's put in to put this package together. One of the things we did realize was that, I think it was in 18 years, we've had 14 declared disasters. So we're constantly having to deal with this, and so any help that we can get from the state for our share would be greatly helpful.
Commissioner Berry, you recognized?
Thank you. So is the application ready to go, just short of Jeff's signature? Are we ready? I see her nodding on it.
It is.
Yeah, it sounds great. If there's not more discussion, I'll move the item A and B.
Second. We have a motion second. Just for my part, Robert, I want to commend you for bringing that. I think it's out-of-the-box thinking, and here's what's profound about this. If we're successful, it's a net $16 million gain to the county. It's money we would not have had to pay. So I certainly hope that you're successful, that we're successful, and I thank you for bringing it.
And please vote any portion. I mean,
Any
portion.
We'll take any of it.
Yeah.
All right, that passes 4 in favor with Commissioner Underhill not here. All right, next up, Wes.
Car 3-2 is a recommendation concerning E-Date ordinances, and we have 2 speakers.
Yep, we got a couple of speakers. Melissa Pino.
Thank you, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Spotless. I am a proponent of smart economic development. You all know I was here through the ST, and especially the workforce development component of economic development. I think it's important for you guys to get this back on the ballot, but I'm just here to plead for a little bit wiser use sometimes, or maybe that some of the ways that you all seem to have been be disappointed about the non-transparency of the E-dates, maybe this is a moment that you can get it fixed. So for instance, I've heard Commissioner May ask and ask and ask and ask for particular kinds of statistics and data coming off of the companies that we receive E-dates. Particularly the last go-around about it was with Navy Federal, with them claiming that that was proprietary and they didn't have to release information about those tax dollars. But it's not just Navy Federal. Over the years, I've seen a lot of asks for this. And at the last meeting, when Commissioner May said, well, this is easy enough, all we have to do is ask Scott Luth, I went, oh boy. Because Mr. Luth gets beat up a lot, really unfairly for the work that he does. But the one, thing that I've never been happy with is what transparency he can have, given the blackout dates and how difficult it is to do economic development in the state of Florida when it's a sunshine state, right? We got to compete right across the border from Alabama, and they don't have any sunshine requirements. So I do get that. I don't know if something can be baked into the formula with what the voters are going to vote on that gives all of you more power or whatever it is that you need to be able to get out of these companies the data that that you need when you need it, so that they just don't say, well, we don't have to give that to you all, thanks for the money and we need some more. Just on my own personal want list is that in the future, if this does pass on the ballot, I will certainly, recommend to people that we need to continue this practice. I hope y'all be a little bit more careful environmentally, or at least with the agencies that work with bringing these companies. I'm tired of seeing e-dates go to companies that, say, for instance, inject toxins under a sandy bottom aquifer at the rate of 40,000 gallons a day and destabilizing our water table for doing it. And I'd like to see e-dates go to a company that is not, any better at compliance than greasing the wheels with FDEPs, so they can just pay the fines that will then get sucked down to South Florida, and Escambia will never see those monies. So anything that this board can do for the responsible use of e-dates in the future, thank you for the successes that we have had on economic development, and let's, make it even better this next round.
Thank you very much. Next up, Larry Downs Jr., you're recognized.
Don't really have anything on this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought you were going to say you agreed with Melissa. I guess that didn't happen. All right, so board, this is a discussion item. I'm one by one. I'll start with you, Lou, and then we'll go straight to Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wes, I think we met Tuesday. Did we ever figure out a spreadsheet and a matrix of the jobs created, the salaries of these jobs by these e-dates?
Commissioner May, you should have that in front of you. I set it out in front of all the chairs this morning.
Did I miss it? Oh, that's what he said?
Yes.
Go ahead, Steve. I'll come back. Yeah.
Thanks, Commissioner. Mr. Chairman, I have some reservations about a couple of them that may have been maybe in place, but I don't have any issue moving forward with the process to be able to put it back on the ballot. I don't think that's inappropriate, and it's a reasonable course of action. I mean, it's not going to be our place to much like other things, it's not going to be our place to advocate using county funds in support of some ballot initiative, but I don't think it's inappropriate to move forward with the process to put it back in front of the voters again. I do think that there will probably be an increased amount of scrutiny and diligence given to applications, of which, might take note, there have not been a lot over even the last 5 years. There have not been a lot of new ones, but I don't think it's inappropriate to move forward with the process to put on the ballot.
No, I appreciate that, and let me ask your thoughts on this, Stephen, since we can't talk anywhere else. I'm of the mindset that we probably need to put it on the general election in November. I think it's a much better chance of, I don't think it's in doubt of passing, but I think it's a much better chance of passing if we do the general election. So what's your thoughts? Plus, that gives us more time to work.
I think I agree with you, less so with the narrative about the expectation for, I'm not weighing in on that necessarily. Sure. I do think the time-wise, and I know that our good friend and constitutional peer would probably appreciate the general ballot, just because it allows us to go through our process without being under a huge time crunch between now and the next couple of meetings. We have a little bit more time if we're looking at a November ballot. So I think that makes sense to me, Joe.
All right, perfect.
Lumen? Thank you, Jeff. Yep. And as my colleague said, there's not been much action in this in the last couple of years, but I mean, at one point we almost had $500 million worth of e-dates on the book. I mean, this is millions of dollars of unpaid taxes that we have. And if it's job creation, it's great, but when you say, I still have, neighborhoods that don't have sewer in Brownsville and Inslee. I have neighborhoods in Brownsville that don't have sidewalks. I mean, I have neighborhoods that don't have streetlights. And so do you think that $2 million a year adds a lot to sidewalks and lights in my district? Absolutely. And so we got to be conscious of that. And so, I mean, I'm not going to oppose this, but I'm saying in historical neighborhoods, traditional neighborhoods, I mean, it's irresponsible for us to not have just the sheer amenities of quality of life in those while we're giving exemptions to multi-million-dollar companies who hand out million-dollar bonuses. That's not right, in my opinion. And so, for me, you know, I'm not going to oppose it. Obviously, I see you and Commissioner Berry support it. But there's going to have to be a staff person that bird dogs this. You know what? I'm not going to sit here and vote for E-Day exemptions to go to companies that employ people from Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Baldwin County while people in my district don't have sewer. So I'm giving an exemption for you to give somebody a job and they don't even live in Escambia County, and we exempt them not to pay taxes. That's fundamentally wrong to me. And so, not only do I want to see the average wage, I want to see exactly if they're taking tax dollars, it becomes a public record. I want to know exactly, you know, who are we giving these jobs to, where are they living, I mean, and how are we doing this job creation. I mean, it just can't be that you just give me a spreadsheet with the average salary without more detail if you want to take government money. I mean, that's all I'm saying. So it needs to be more detailed. And with I hope that we put somebody on our staff. And you know, we can refer back to Scott Luth every day. Scott Luth is, you know, although he's being paid out of our money, he doesn't day-to-day report to the administrator, who I'm going to hold responsible. So we need to have that implemented as we look at these E-dates, because we know that there are other E-dates that are coming. I'm not against job creation, but creating jobs outside of the need of my district doesn't help me at all. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not in the business of creating jobs. You know, I'm not going to vote for another person that we hire in this county. You know, these high-paid salaries that don't live in Escambia County. I represent Escambia County. I don't represent Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, or Baldwin. So we get high salaries and people don't live in our community, and our community never get any better. It remains the same. And we give these E-dates, and it bothers me. You know, I'm not going to hold it up, but I just want to give that soapbox, you know, that I can be 4-1 on these votes in perpetuity. You know, I'd love to be, you know, consensual, but I'm not going to be consensual if there's not job creation within my district.
Fair enough. I have just the right person to do that tracking, Commissioner.
Well, I hope so.
Commissioner Bender, did you want to weigh in on that at all? Nope. Okay, well, just for my parts, I'll just say it's in the newspaper today. I was interviewed by the News Journal. I think it's a great tool to have, and I think to attract the caliber of company that you want to come to Pensacola, Escambia County, you know, you almost have to have some sort of package to offer them. Otherwise, they do go down the road where other places do it. But I heard every word you said, Lumen, and I think there's a way we can both get a win. And I think part of that is, you know, you look at a company that gets one of these E-dates, if they're able to put a significant investment in capital like Navy Federal did, there's ancillary benefits, even if a direct employee. Yeah, I mean, even if it's not directly an employee of that company, if it's a sub to the construction or the landscaping or, you know, whatever the case might be, that money just kind of radiates throughout the community. And also, I would just simply say this to close it. The money that is generated once these E-dates fall off, that it's not isolated and segregated to the district where it's generated. It spreads out throughout the entire county. And I would also say this to my friends that work in the Escambia County School District. It's a real benefit to them because, of course, we can exempt them from the county taxes, but we bring on a big employer like ST or Navy Federal. From day one, they're paying full school board taxes. And I know many years on the school board, it looks like a lot of money, but it's not a lot. And, you know, every dime that school district gets is good because it'll help pay teachers more. And I have a ton of respect for teachers. I don't think they get paid enough, just like some of our lowest paid employees. So I'm going to be very, very supportive. I'm going to be very outspoken because at the end of the day, we want a variety of good employers in this county so that when the students graduate every year, if they choose to, can make a nice career in life in Escambia County instead of the historical reality of having to go to Tampa, Atlanta, New York, San Diego. I want them to be able to stay here if they want to. So, and I think this is part of our ability. This is a tool in our toolbox, as I said in the paper today, that allows us to do it. So,
and Jeff, and certainly, you know, I'm never going to be one that would impede economic development. I believe in it, and I understand the multiplier effect. I understand, you know, trickle down economics from a Democratic side. I understand that dollars move within the entire country, state, and our county. So I'm not saying that those dollars are ancillary dollars. What I'm saying, though, sometimes those jobs are not distributed equally among areas that they should be distributed in. And if we don't set the narrative from this dais, they will at least anticipate that there's not a concern or a push to make sure that the jobs that are being created are in line with our mission. And so that's my point. My mission is to create jobs for those who may not have opportunity unless they get some type of support from the government agency that's granting these edicts. And so that's to my point. I'm going to be supportive of that, but I'm not going to continue to sit on this board and do job creation and still have high poverty in my CRAs and my safe neighborhoods and districts that I represent. Well, I'm just not going to vote for that because it's not enhancing my district, and that's unfair to those that I represent. Everything we should do should be about diversity, inclusion, and reciprocity to citizens all citizens who pay taxes. And you know what? Poor people pay more taxes than rich people. That's the bottom line. I mean, that's the reality. And so we should be able to create jobs for those who are disadvantaged, and that has to be a focal point. You know, and if we don't focus on that, I mean, then no one else will do it, Jeff. I mean, we have the ability to do that. So I agree with you.
No, and I'm going to be very supportive of Lumen, and not only that, I'll go a step further, and perhaps we can make this part of our ordinance when we do it, a non-discrimination. I'm sure it's already in law, but if we want to strengthen it, but I mean, I would not be opposed to pulling any kind of an E-date we put out there if we ever find that anyone discriminates. I'd be fully supportive of that because that can't happen. So, and Lumen, that should be something that makes you happy because if we find, I mean, I would make the motion to pull the funding. Everyone has to have an equal opportunity, right? And some of these jobs, frankly, you know, they do require specialized skills, and you know, it's difficult to fill positions. Circulogene is a great example. The company that you and I visited, Lumen, $100,000 salaries, but it just can't be anyone rolling it off the street. You got to have a degree in biochemistry. So, you know,
and of course, I mean, you know, I've never supported, you know, and then that's another fundamental question about our hiring process here at the county. Who wants an unqualified person? No one. But when you tell me that you can't find a person of color and minority that's qualified, then that's just untrue. And then maybe you ought to go find them. Maybe you ought to take your procurement and your recruitment and look a little further than you looked. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, there should be reciprocity, and then that's, I mean, the whole hiring process here. We can have another conversation about that. But I mean, I don't get that conversation. That'd be a long conversation. I mean, you know, we don't hire unqualified people, but we should give every person an opportunity.
I agree. No, I'm with you 100%. I think we're speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
Chair, would entertain a motion on this item?
Move to give direction to begin drafting an ordinance. Is that
Yeah, this
stage
would
we're at?
require an
Okay.
ordinance to direct the supervisor of elections to include it on the ballot, so it is helpful if you're identifying that it would be in the general election ballot. And
All
we
right.
can
Move to
work-
give direction, ask the county attorney to begin drafting an ordinance to shoot for the November general election ballot.
Second. Motion second, please vote.
Are these initiatives simple majority?
50%. And Allison, did we ever find out, okay, that passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill not here.
I haven't pulled that yet. I do
Okay.
have it on my list of things to pull. I'll email out to the board as a whole.
Perfect, yeah.
The previous E-date election, the results and all that. I'll get that to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, I think that's it for you, right? Yep, that's it. Okay, County Attorney's Report. Allison, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. There are 3 items on the county attorney's report. They're all scheduling items for future board meetings. I can answer any questions.
Move the county attorney's, this portion of the report.
Second.
Action report.
Motion second, please vote. We have no speaker here. We do that. On the next one. Did we already go through them? All right, that passes 4-0. Commissioner Underhill off the dice. Okay. Yeah. Looks like we had some speakers on the thing that we just passed. We're going to bring them up anyways. Melissa Pino, we already voted on the item. Sorry, I didn't see your. Do you want to speak to it?
Forgot. Thank you, 413.
Yep.
Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. I just want to go on record personally as saying that I don't agree with this. I understand how horrible it was when you had a particularly toxic office contribute to problems on the fourth floor. I think it's so unfortunate that that outlying anomaly, which, God help us, should be coming to an end sometime this year, influences policy in this way. I also suspect that one of the commissioners that is supporting this might be doing it to help a friend in one of the races, because I have always said that Jonathan was not serious about his run for District 1, and that it was a dry run to get his name brand out there for District 2. It helps all of us if he can't run again. Personally, I wish Doug had run again, but he's not going to. He can't even show up to a meeting. The reason that I don't support this is and again, I want to say, I understand you guys never want a situation like that again. It should have been dealt with then. And this seems to me like prescribing a solution for something that happened in the past that is just because you're not dealing with decent human beings. You guys can't legislate decency. You can try, but it's not going to happen. Some people are just not going to be decent human beings. I hate to see staff get cut off from running for anything when you say, well, quit your job. All your benefits, all your retirements, everything you've accrued, when you guys always make the argument that one of the great things about being a county staff member is those benefits, that they are better benefits. So why on earth would anybody in their right mind throw caution to the wind and throw that away? Mike Lowry ran against Grover, and they stayed friendly throughout the entire thing. And as a matter of fact, and to Grover's credit, he commended Mike in the end of that race and told him, thanks for keeping me honest. It was harder than I thought. And even though you knew you weren't going to win it, you held my feet to the fire. And he told Mike, I think I'm going to be a better commissioner for it. If you guys are going to do this, I don't understand the rationale of just doing it for the commissioners, because some of the arguments were it distracts people, you're working for your campaign while you're should be, plugged in at the county. That would seem to be just as true for running, period, as it would for the commissioners forum. So I know that probably won't get very far, but I felt like it was important to go on record as a candidate myself that, hey, we've already got a three-ring circus going in District 2, so the more the merrier.
Thanks, Melissa. Larry Downs, you're up.
Hello. Man, I hate talking about an item that's already passed without public input, but maybe y'all can bring it back up. Rescind that vote.
If you convince us, we might.
That's what I'm going to try to do. We go back to that old saying, land of the free, home of the brave. How is it that as a free citizen in this country, you're saying that county workers cannot do things in their own time, after hours? I mean, whether it's running for an office, whether it's playing, for a church softball team, who may be playing for that softball team, maybe that gets them hurt. That affects their county work. I mean, this is never ending. And if it applies to county workers, then it should apply to y'all if you're running for re-election. Because how are you going to represent us adequately whenever you're spending all that time campaigning? I mean, I've worked on a few campaigns, I know. Maybe they just want to run for that office and not even campaign. Maybe they just want to put their name on the ballot. How are y'all going to dictate? This is nothing to do with freedom. This is the base. This ordinance here violates the basic principles of liberty. Just because of where you work, that's craziness. I mean, I just don't see how you can do that in good conscience and vote on it. That just say, hey, sorry, if you work for the county, you can't run for office unless you quit. That's crazy. That's telling them that they can't do something in their own time. Now, you can have an ordinance that says, hey, you can't campaign during working hours. You can't do this while you're working. If you get caught, you will be fired. You can do stuff like that all day long. But to tell them that they can't put their name in a hat for any office, that's especially a part-time job. I mean, and then if they win or they get elected by the people, they can quit. They can resign at that point. But just to give them no option. And believe me, I'm not about county employees running for office. I mean, that's like the fox in the hen house. They're already too deep. They know everything. I really don't want people up here that know everything.
Thank you. All right. Any other discussion on that topic? I will just say my apologies to Melissa and Larry. I had a note underneath. I did not see that there were two speakers. So, well, I think we voted it. I tell you what, the chair would entertain any motion to reconsider that item in light of the fact that I did not see their speakers. Okay, I don't see the lights coming on, so there's that. But I will say this. Because I heard like a 10-minute monologue from an entertainment radio host, and he failed to make some very important points. One of which is those laws are all over the place. Counties, municipalities, cities around the state. Those laws already exist for very good reasons. For state employees and for state constitutional officers, there's a resign to run law. And I noticed in his monologue, he didn't mention the fact that school board members who run for county commissioner have to resign, like I did. I resigned and left 2 years of my term behind. Had I lost the election, I would have had no soft landing. So the federal government doesn't do it that way. You've got all kinds of congressmen and senators that run for president, and then they scurry back to their jobs. But locally, throughout the state, there are lots of places. Allison Rogers, our county attorney, brought examples of that, where it's not permitted. So, Melissa, to your point, that was where I was headed first. If it's a distraction, then it should be for any office. But in listening to the discussions from my counterparts, I don't think that that's where they were. So I'm willing to support it just for the county. But the other thing I would say is, there was a point made about me particularly in this 10-minute monologue about my asking my employer if I could run. Because most jobs that you work at, you would have to ask permission. You would have to go to your boss, the owner of the company, or whoever the manager is, and say, look, I'm going to run for office. And they either say yes or no. In my case, they said yes. Had they said no, I would not be up here. I would not have run. But the point being made was, Jeff, your employer said yes to you running. But you're telling people that you won't say yes to them running. But the difference is, my boss said yes to me running for something that's unrelated to his business and his company. I make policy, we make policy for this board. So for us to say yes to someone to run against us, what do you think the average company would say? What do you think my boss would say if I said, I want to run to replace you? You see, there's a big difference there. There's a lot of things in that monologue that were not well thought through. So, of course, I'm going to support it, and you heard it was unanimous support for that. So I look forward to March 3rd and the hearing. Robert?
I don't know if we can take final action before allowing speakers, so
Well, you guys just tell me, do we need to reconsider?
I would just revote, just to make sure we don't run into issues.
Well, then the chair would entertain a motion. Motion to reconsider.
Yeah, I would do a motion to reconsider, take the vote, and then take a new vote on that item.
Okay.
All right, so then I'll motion to reconsider the county attorney report.
Oh, wait, just the one item. Item one.
Either way.
We'll make a motion.
Okay, just the item one then.
Okay. Second. Motion second to reconsider. Please vote.
Did you have any input, Robert?
We'll do that when we're back on it.
I'm back on it, okay.
There you go. Okay, motion to reconsider County Attorney item 1-1 passes unanimously with Doug Underhill off the dais and not present. Okay, now we're back on item 1-1. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move item County Attorney 1-1.
Second. Motion second on 1. Any further discussion on the topic? Please vote. There we go. Item passes unanimously with Doug not here. Yeah, well, look forward to the discussion on the 3rd. All right, Allison, that completes your report. Anything added to the agenda? Add-ons? I think, Lumen.
Did you get my add-on? Yes, I've got it.
Yes, sir, I have it.
All right, it's just, Mr. Chairman, I'm just gonna move $300 from my discretionary to the Inglewood Community Redevelopment Corporation.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right, motion second, please vote.
Jeff, I appreciate you getting me out here
Yeah,
at 10:30.
It's you guys. You allowed it to happen. That passes unanimously with Doug Underhill not here. All right, anything else for the good of the order? Anything else? We're adjourned.